ಸಂಸಾರದಾವಾನಲಲಿಧಲೋಕ ತ್ರಾಣಾಯ ಕಾರುಣ್ಯ ಗಣಗಣತ್ವಂ ಪ್ರಾಪ್ತಸ್ಯ ಕಲ್ಯಾಣ ಗುಣರ್ನಭಾಷಾ ವಂದೇ ಗುರು ಶ್ರೀ ಚರಣರವಿಂದಂ ಮಹಾಪ್ರಭು ಕೀರ್ತನ ನಿತ್ಯ ಗೀತಾ ವಾದಿತ್ರಮಾದ್ಯಾನ್ ಮನಸುರಸೇನಾ ರೋಮಾಂಚಕಂಪಾಶುತರಂಗಭಾಜೋ ವಂದೇ ಗುರು ಶ್ರೀ ಚರಣರವಿಂದಂ ಶ್ರೀ ವಿಗ್ರಹಾರಾಧನ ನಿತ್ಯನಾನ ಶೃಂಗಾರ ತನ್ಮಂದಿರ ಮಜನಾರ್ದೋ ಯುಕ್ತಸ್ಯ ಭಕ್ತಾಂ ಶನಿಯುಂಜತೋಪಿ ವಂದೇ ಗುರು ಶ್ರೀ ಚರಣರವಿಂದಂ ವಂದೇ ಗುರು ಶ್ರೀ ಚರಣರವಿಂದಂ ವಂದೇ ಗುರು ಶ್ರೀ ಚರಣರವಿಂದಂ ಚತುರ್ವಿಧಾ ಶ್ರೀ ಭಗವತ್ ಪ್ರಸಾದೋ ಸ್ವಾದನ್ನ ತೃಪ್ತಾಮರಿ ಭಕ್ತ ಸಂಗಂ कृत्वैव तृप्तिं भजत सदैव वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणरविन्दम् श्रीराधिका माधवयोरपारा माधुर्यलीला गुणरूपनाम्ना प्रतिक्षणा स्वादनलोलोपस्य वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणरविन्दम् निकुञ्जयो नो रतिकेलिसिद्ध्यायाले भीर्योक्तिरपेक्षणीया तत्रादिदाक्षादतिवल्लभस्य वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् साक्षादरित्वेन समस्तशास्त्रैरुक्तस्तथा वा यथैव शब्दे किन्तु प्रभो या प्रिय एव तस्या वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणरविन्दम् यस्य प्रसादा भगवत्प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादा न गति कुतोऽपि ध्यायं शुभां तस्य यशस्त्रीसन्ध्यां वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। जय प्रभुपाद। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। चैतन्य नित्यानंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। नित्यानंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। चैतन्य हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे। हरिहराय नमः कृष्ण यादवाय नमः यादवाय माधवाय केशवाय नमः गोपाल गोविंद राम श्री मधुसूदन गिरिधारी गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन श्री चैतन्य नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत सीता हरि गुरु वैष्णव भगवत गीता श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्ट दास रघुनाथ हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जयो राधा नील माधव श्री राधे जयो राधा नील माधव श्री राधे जयो जगन्नाथ जयो बालदेवा जयो सुभद्रा जयो सुदर्शन चक्र जयो सीताराम जयो सीताराम जयो सीताराम जयो लक्ष्मण हनुमान जयो लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जयो लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जयो लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जयो लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जयो गौरनिताय जयो गौरनिताय जयो गौरनिताय जयो गौरनिताय जयो जयो प्रभुपाद 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 जयो जयो प्रभुपाद जयो जयो गुरुदेव 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 जयो जयो गुरुदेव
जय विश्व पार्वती प्रभु Prabhajakacha Suttara Sarasishimad, His Divine Grace, Abhacharavina Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Pratishta Vivitistam Stapakachara Vaishnava Srimani Patit Pavana, Srila Prabhupada Ji Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Gauriya Guru Varga Patitu Udhara Ki Jai, Shri Rup Sanatan, Bhatta Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Guna Sadguru Swami Prabhu Ki Jai, Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur Ji Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrindi Ki Jai, Prem se kaho se Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai, Jai Param Dayal Se Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Prema Nama Sankirtane Eka Janaka Prema Purushottama Si Sachinandana Shman Guranga Si Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mahavadanya Avatar Guru Hari Ki Jai, Golokira Pramadhani Nam Sankirtan Jaya Ki Jai, Juga Dharma Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai, Brihadmidanga Transcendental Book Distribution Seva Ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopna Radha Kun Sama Kun Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai, Shri Vrajapim Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai, The Lordship Shri Radha Nila Madhava Ki Jai, Paramaguna Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai, Shri Jagannatha Swami Baladev Smati Subhadra Devi Sudarshan Chakra Prabhavan Ki Jai, Ganga Maya Jamuna Maya Ki Jai, Tulsi Maharani Vrinde Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shri Mati Radharani Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinde Ki Jai, Nitai Guru Ripramanandi. All glories to the assembled bodies, all glories to the assembled bodies, all glories to the assembled bodies, all glories, all glories, all glories, Shri Guru Shri Gaura.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Pralada Lada Thaine.
Pralada Lada Thaine.
Hiranyakashipurvaksha. Hiranyakashipurvaksha. Shilatankanakalaya. Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimho.
Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimho.
Yato yato yami tato Narsimha.
Yato yato yami tato Narsimha.
Bahir Narsimho Hridaye Narsimho.
Bahir Narsimha Hridaye Narsimho.
Narasimha Madim Sharanam Prapade.
Narasimha Madim Sharanam Prapade.
Tavakara Kamalavarena Kam Abhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubhringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Kama Kama Kamala Hare.
Abhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubhringam Kesavadrita Narahari Rupa. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare.
Veshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare
Kesavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare
Jaya Narsimhadev, Jaya Narsimhadev, Jaya Narsimhadev, Jaya Narsimhadev.
Jaya Nrsimhadev, Jaya Nrsimhadev, Jaya Nrsimhadev, Jaya Nrsimhadev.
Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj.
Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. जय श्री भक्ति पथ सर्वविघ्नाशना कनिष्ठ भगवान की जय। भक्त श्रेष्ठ प्रहलाद महाराज की जय। निताय गौर हरि प्रेमानंद। श्री वृंदाई तुलसी देवाई प्रिय केशव सत्य विष्णु भक्ति प्रादे देवे स्वतवताय नमो नमः। वृंदाई तुलसी देवाई प्रिय केशव सत्य विष्णु भक्ति प्रादे देवी स्वतवताय नमो नमः। वृंदाई तुलसी देवाई प्रिय केशव सत्य विष्णु भक्ति प्रादे देवी सतवताय नमो नमः। श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी वृंदा देवी की।
नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः
तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः।
तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः।
तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः।
ये तुम राधा
Krishna Seva Prama Hey Abhinasi
Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Hey Abhilashi
Radha Krishna Seva Prama Hey Abhinasi
Ye Tumhara Sharan Loy Tara Vancha Purna Hoy
Tumhara Sharanala Tara Vancha Purna
Kripa Kori Karo Tare Vrindavanavasi
Tumne kripa kare karatare Vrindavanavasi
Morayeya Vilas Vilas Kunja Diyava
Morae Avila Vilas Kunje Diyava
Nayane Heri Bosada Yugala Ruparasi
Aminayane Eribasaru Jugala Ruparasi
Ye Nivedana Sakiranu Gata Koro
Aineve Danadara Sakirayano Katakara
Sevadikara diye Koro nijadasi
Sevayadika Radhiye Karane Jadase
Dina Krishna dase kohiye namora hoy
Dina Krishna Das Khan Hey Namora
Shri Radha Govinda preme sada yena basi
Shri Radha Govinda Preme Sarayana Vasi
Shri Radha Govinda preme sada yena basi
Shri Radha Govinda Preme Sarayana Vasi
Yani kani cha papani Brahma hatyadikani cha Tani tani pranashanti Pradakshina pade pade
Jane Kane Sapapani Brahmayatade Ganesha Tane Tane Pranasanti Pradakshina Pade Pade
Yani kani cha papani Brahma hatyadikani cha Tani tani pranashanti Pradakshina pade pade
Jane Kane Sapapani Brahmayatade Ganesha Tane Tane Pranasanti Pradakshina Pade Pade
Yani kani cha papani Brahma hatyadikani cha Tani tani प्रणशन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे
यानि कानि सपपानि ब्रह्मत्यधिकानि स तानि तानि प्रणशन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani.
Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani.
Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi.
Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Vrinda Devi Tulsi Maharani ki jai.
Shri Vrindai Tulasi Devai Priyaya Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Sattvatai Namo Namah. Vrindai Tulasi Devai Priyaya Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Sattvatai Namo Namah. Vrindayai Tulasi Devai Priyayai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Sattvatai Namah. Shrimati Tulasi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Oh Tulasi, beloved Krishna, I bow before you again and again. My desire to attend the service of Shri Radha and Krishna. Whoever takes shelter of his wishes fulfilled, bestow your mercy upon him, you make him resident of Vrindavan. My desire is that you also give me a residence in pleasure groves of Shri Vrindavan Dham. Thus within my vision, I will always behold the beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me a follower of Kavadya Mrs. of Raj. Please give me the privilege of devotional service and make me your own mad servant. This very fallen and lowly servant Krishna praise, may I always swim in love with Shri Radha and Govinda Shrimati Tulasi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Shri Krishna Ki Jai. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sri Krishna Ki Jai. Namo Harinaya Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Krishna. Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of a conditional life of repeated birth and death. The Sankirtan movement is the primary benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds of millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There is not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, you enable us to easily approach you by holy names, but I'm so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. Once you chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself a Lord on strolling street, one should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer our respect to others. In such state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yes, some or other I have fallen in this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, only my eyes will be decorated with tears of love, flowing constantly when I chant your holy name. For when my voice choke up, and will the hairs on my body stand on an end at the recitation of your name. O Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I feel all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he sure remains so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Shri Krishna ki. There are 10 offenses in the matter of chanting the holy name of the Lord that must be avoided. They are as follows. 1. Blaspheme devotees who dedicate life for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider names of demigods and Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the order of the spiritual master. 4. Blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature pursuance of Vedic version. 5. To consider the glory of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. To give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name of the Lord. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in Vedas as fruitive activity karma kanda. 9. To instruct the faithless person by the glories of holy name. And 10. To not have complete faith in chanting the holy names and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses
in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna Prema. Now, let us offer our most humble obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just like desire trees that can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Kalpatarabhyascha, Kripasindhubhyevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha, Vaishnava Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam, Grantharaj Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mad Yasha Yato Nivayad Itaratas Charte Suavigyaswara. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye Uyanti Yatsurayaha. Tejo Varimedam Yata Vinimayo Yatra Chisargo Misha. Damna Suna Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dimahi. Damna Suna Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dimahi. O my Lord, Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva. O my Lord, Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva. O all-pervading personality of Godhead. O all-pervading personality of Godhead. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute truth. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute truth. And the primeval cause of all causes. And the primeval cause of all causes. Of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. Of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universe. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations. And he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. And he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji. The original living being. The original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion. As one is bewildered by the illusory representations. As one is bewildered by the illusory representations. Of water seen in fire or land seen in water. Of water seen in fire or land seen in water. Only because of him do the material universes. Only because of him do the material universes. Temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature. Temporarily manifested by the reaction of the three modes of nature. Appear factual, although they are unreal. Appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna. Who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode. Who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode. Which is forever free from the illusory representations in the material world. Which is forever free from the illusory representation in the material world. Dharma projita kaitravatra. Dharma Pujita Kaitavutta Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam Vedyam Vastavamatra Vastu Vedyam Vastavamatra Vastu Shivadam Tapatrayon Mulanam Shivadam Tapatrayon Mulanam Shrimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Shrimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Kim Vaparir Ishwaraha Kim Vaparir Ishwaraha Satyo Hridi Avarudite Tra Satyo Hridi Avarudite Kriti Bihi Sususa Vistakshana Kriti Bihi Sususa Vistakshana. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated.
Completely rejecting all religious activities with material
This
motive.
Bhagavata Purana propounds the highest truth,
This Bhagavad Purana propounds the high truth,
which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart.
which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart.
The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion
The high truth, the reality distinguished from illusion,
for the welfare of all.
for the welfare of all.
Such truth uproots the threefold miseries.
Such truth uproots the threefold
This
miseries.
beautiful Bhagavatam compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity
This beautiful Bhagavatam compiled by great sage Vyasadeva's maturity
is sufficient in itself for God realization.
is sufficient itself for God realization.
What is the need of any other scripture?
What is the need of the other scripture?
As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam,
As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam,
by this culture of knowledge,
by this culture of
the
knowledge,
Supreme Lord is established within his heart.
the Supreme Lord is established within his heart.
Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam,
Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam,
sukhamukad amrita dravya samyatam,
Shukamukhad amrita trava sangitam,
pipata bhagavatam rasam alayam,
Pibata bhagavatam rasamayam,
muhur ahoraska bhavibhavakaha.
Murahura sika bhuvi bhavuka.
O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam,
O expert Srimad Bhagavatam,
the mature fruit of the desire to read Vedic literature.
the mature fruit, the desire to read
It
literature.
emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadeva Goswami.
It emanated from the lips of Sri Shukadev Goswami.
Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful.
Therefore, this fruit has become even more
Although
tasteful.
its nectarian juice is already relishable for all,
Although its nectarine is already relishable for all,
including liberated souls.
including liberated souls.
Shinvatam Swakata Krishna,
Shrivatam Swakata Krishna,
Punya Shravana Kirtana,
Punya Shravana Kirtanam,
Hridyantaksto hi Bhadrani,
Vidyantasto Hyabhadrani,
Vidunati Srihitsatam.
Vidhunoti Suritsatam.
To hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures,
To hear about Krishna from the Vedic
or
literature,
to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita,
or to hear from it directly from the Bhagavad Gita,
is itself righteous activity.
itself a righteous activity.
And for one who hears about Krishna,
And for one who hears about Krishna,
Lord Krishna is dwelling in everyone's heart,
Lord Krishna is dwelling within everyone's
acts
heart,
as a best wishing friend,
acts as the best wishing friend,
and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him.
and purifies the devotees constantly engaged in hearing.
Nasta presu abhadresu
Nasta prayesha bhadreshu
nityam bhagavata sevaya
nityam bhagavata seva
bhagavati utamasloke
bhagavati uttamasloke
bhaktir bhavati naistaki.
bhakti bhavatir naistiki.
In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge.
In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental
As he hears
knowledge.
more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam
As he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam
and from the
and
devotees,
from the devotees,
he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord.
he becomes fixed in devotional service of the Lord.
Tadarajstamo bhava
Tadarajastamo bhava
kamaloba dayaschaye
kamalobha dayaschaya
cheta etar anavidam
chita itarina vidam
sitvam sattve prasidati.
sitam sarve prasidasi.
By development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance.
By development of devotional service, one becomes free from the modes of passion and ignorance.
And thus material lust and avarice are diminished.
And thus material lust and avarice are diminished.
Evam prasana manaso
Evam prasanna manasu
bhagavad bhakti yogataha
bhagavad bhakti yoga
bhagavad tattva vijnanam
bhagavad tattva vijnanam
bhakta sangasya jayate.
mukta sangasya jayate.
When these impurities are wiped away,
When these impurities are wiped
the
away,
candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness,
the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness,
becomes enlivened by devotional service,
becomes enlivened by devotional service,
and understands the science of God perfectly.
and understands the science of God perfectly.
Vidyate hridaya grantis
Jidyate hridaya granti
chidyante sarvasamsaya
chidyante sarva samshaya
shiyante jasya karmani
jidyante chasya karmani
yusta eva atmanisware.
drusta evadmanishvari.
Thus, bhakti yoga severs the hard knot of material affection
Thus, the Bhakti Yoga serves the hard knot of material affection
and enables one to come at once to the stage of a samsayam samagram,
and enables one to come at once to the stage of Samsham Samagrama,
understanding of the supreme absolute truth, personality, Godhead.
understanding the supreme absolute true personality of Godhead.
Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee in Krishna consciousness
Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from the devotees in Krishna consciousness
can one understand the science of Krishna.
can one understand the science of
Srimad
Krishna.
Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 19, verse number 19. Maharsayo vai samupagatat ye
Maharshayo vai samupagataye
prasasya sadviti anum damana
prashasya sadvityanumadamana
uchupanjan agrahasilasara
uchu prajano grahashilasara
yad uttama sloka gunavirupam.
Yadutamasloka guna virupa.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. All the great sages who were assembled there also praised the decision of Maharaj Parikshit, that the decision is to fast until death. And here, Srimad Bhagavatam spoken by Sri Sukadeva Goswami. And they expressed their approval by saying, very good. Naturally, the sages are inclined to do good to common men, for they have all the qualitative powers of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, they were very much pleased to see Maharaj Parikshit, a devotee of the Lord, and they spoke as follows. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The natural beauty of a living being is enhanced by rising up to the platform of devotional service. Maharaja Parikshit was absorbed in attachment for Lord Krishna. Seeing this, the great sages assembled were very pleased, and they expressed their approval by saying, very good. Such sages are naturally inclined to do good to the common man. When they see a personality like Maharaj Parikshit advance in devotional service, their pleasure knows no bounds. And they offer all blessings in their power. The devotional service of the Lord is so auspicious that all demigods and sages, up to the Lord himself, become pleased with the devotee. And therefore, the devotee finds everything auspicious. All inauspicious matters are removed from the path of a progressive devotee. Meeting all the great sages at the time of death was certainly auspicious for Maharaj Parikshit, and thus he was blessed by the so-called curse of a Brahmana's boy. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So this is an example of how even if a devotee makes a mistake, the Lord can turn it into a great triumph. That's because the Lord, or Krishna, gives special attention to his devotee. And it's normal. And previously we heard that the Lord is the well-wisher and protector of all living entities. But for the general mass of living entities, he entrusts their protection to the demigods, as long as, of course, they follow the principles of religion. When they don't follow the principles of religion, then the demigods, starting with Durga Mata, punishes them as a remedial method of correcting their bad behavior. And of course, some people are so recalcitrant that they refuse to see the writing on the wall that their suffering is due to their sinful acts. And if they give up their sinful acts, suffering would be diminished significantly or eradicated completely if they become genuine devotees or pure devotees. But the protection of the devotees, Krishna takes care of that personally. And that's the main point, that if we become endearing to the Lord Krishna, and if we become a sincere devotee, if we work always to please the Lord, not having any selfish desires, vihaya kamam yasarvam pumam smarati nityasa. So this is a very nice verse in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It says that one who lives without material desires who has no material motive other than, it has no material motive at all, and the only motive is to please the Lord, then a miraculous thing happens. Vihaya kamam yasarvam pumam charati nispraha nirmamo nirahankara. They don't consider themselves a proprietor. They don't have false ego. Sasantim adigachati. Such a person attains peace. Why? Because they have no material desires. They have desires, but those desires are only to please Krishna. And this is further elaborated in the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where it says, it says, 5th chapter, verse number 12, I think. Let's see where that is. Yukta karma phalam tyakva santim apnoti naistikim. Ayukta karma karena phale sakto nibadyate. And it says, the steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the result of all activities to me. Whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, becomes entangled. So here we have these two verses, 271 and 512. And Prabhupada says in 512 in the purport, the difference between a person in Krishna consciousness and a person in bodily consciousness is that the former is attached to Krishna, whereas the latter is attached to the results of his activities. The person who is attached to Krishna and works for him only is certainly a liberated person, and he has no anxiety over the results of his work. In the Bhagavatam, the cause of anxiety over the result of an activity is explained as being one's functioning in the conception of duality, that is, without knowledge of the absolute truth. So when we are not convinced that the supreme absolute truth, the supreme goal of life, the supreme activity to achieve that goal is devotional service, rendered without any material motive and simply for the pleasure of the Krishna, and it's done favorably and without speculation and without fruitive desires, then one is peaceful in life, whether there's success or failure, because they know Krishna is in control of everything. And as long as they remain surrendered to the will of the Lord, there's no duality. Duality is caused by having material desires. And as soon as we have material desires, right away, there's fear. And because we believe I am this body, and the goal of life is to please the body, but the body is temporary. So one develops fear always, because something can always go wrong. And then there's duality, because you have to make decisions. Should I work for Microsoft? Should I work for Amazon? Should I marry this person or marry that person? Should I live in America or should I live in India? Or maybe I should go to the moon. There's constant duality in a person's mind. And those are the symptoms of being conditioned by material nature. And the ultimate symptom is one doesn't really believe that God exists. And because one doesn't believe God exists, they don't have one goal in life. Their goal is always changing. And that causes distress in the mind, because you never know. It's just like, you can see this if you go to the horse races. Like if you go to in Kent or south of Kent, there's I forget the name of the horse racing arena there. Well, when you go to horse races, there's like sometimes 9 or 10 or 12 horses in the race. And you have to study each one, what they're eating, what kind of stool they're passing, whether they have a cold or not a cold, whether they have an injury or not an injury, and you have to pick one of those horses. And when the bell rings and the horses start running, people start screaming the name of the horse that they want to win. And then as the race progresses, the screaming gets louder. One person is screaming one name, another person is screaming another name. And when it comes up to the last stretch, there's like hysteria, And then when the horse that the person picked loses, they take the ticket that they have and they tear it up and they throw it on the ground. So it went from hope, confidence, to doubt, to anxiety, and finally frustration. They tear up the ticket and throw it down. And then they go buy another ticket for the next race, right? It all starts all over again. So, and if they win, they start jumping up and down. It's like ecstasy, and they go to the pay booth, and they put their ticket down, and they get some cash, and they put that cash in their pocket, and they get really pumped up with enthusiasm to go and bet some more money, you see. The whole thing is nonsense, but it's actually the material experience in life. So that's the horse race. Then there's the stock market. Then there's investment in a business. And then there's all kinds of plans for sense gratification. Some are immediate, like the horse race, you know right away whether you win or lose. And some are very long term. And one is always acting in duality and fear and anxiety, and sometimes there's elation and so forth. So here it says that in the Bhagavatam, the cause of anxiety over the result of an activity is explained as one's functioning in the conception of duality. That is, without knowledge of the absolute truth. If you have knowledge of the absolute truth, then all your decisions are made on the basis of what is best for Krishna, for pleasing Krishna. You see. So let's say you could buy a house in Bothell that's 30% cheaper than a house in Sammamish. And it's maybe bigger and just recently built. And if you buy the same type of house in Sammamish, it could be 30% or 40% or maybe 50% more. So you try and make a decision. Say, well, if I have to buy this bigger house, if I buy the house in Sammamish, I would have to work harder. And, of course, if I buy the house in Bothell, it's cheaper, but I would be farther away from the temple. That's okay. There's some other temple there. What's the difference? You see. But a devotee would say, well, even though it's more expensive, I want to live near this temple because this temple is teaching me so many good things, and my kids also, and I don't want to be far away. Therefore, I'll make that extra sacrifice to live near this temple. So you see, they're acting in oneness there, oneness with Krishna. Whereas the other person says, what's the difference? There's another temple over there, and houses are cheaper. Let me live over there. So that's duality. But the devotee always acts in oneness. He said, no, whatever is more favorable for Krishna consciousness, that's what I'm going to do. Therefore, their purpose is one, to please Krishna and Guru. Therefore, it says, so they're free of this duality. Krishna is the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead. In Krishna consciousness, there's no duality. All that exists is a product of Krishna's energy, and Krishna is all good. Therefore, activities in Krishna consciousness are on the absolute plane, and they are transcendental and have no material effect. One is therefore filled with peace in Krishna consciousness. But one who is entangled in profit calculation for sense gratification cannot have that peace. That is the secret of Krishna consciousness. Realization that there's no existence besides Krishna is the platform of peace and fearfulness. So these two verses are very good, 271 and 512. So therefore, the sages came from all over the universe to witness the death of Maharaj Pariksit. But they came happily, and they were joyful to see such a exemplary devotee in an exalted family of devotees, and acting in a very, let's say, transcendental way, giving up his kingdom, his family, everything, and completely fixing his mind on Krishna and accepting, not regretting, but accepting the fact that he's going to be killed by this flying snake, but he's going to fast, not even drink water, not sleep, and just hear Srimad Bhagavatam spoken by Sukadeva Goswami. So the sages approved of this. They said, very good, right? But most people say, oh, the poor man, what a horrible thing. His wife is so young, and he's had so much money, and such a great king. He was a good king, you know. Good people die young, you know. Only the bad guys live long, you know. So they would say all these things, you know. They'd be wringing their hands in anxiety. The poor guy, you know, so young, and he has to die. But the sages, they call it very good, you see. So there's a difference between Krishna consciousness and materialistic life. That's why it says, Ya nisa sarvabhutanam yasyam jagrati samyami tasyam jagrati bhutani ya nisa Sanisa Pasyato Mune. So, what is nighttime for the mass of men? Is the time of awakening for the introspective sage. And what is nighttime for the sage is the time of awakening for the mass of men. So what does this mean? That means that devotees take rest early at night and wake up early in the morning. And when they wake up, that's when the karmis are just coming back from the bar or the party or whatever to take rest. and at night, when the karmis go out for dinner and drinking and New Year's Eve party or this party or that party, that's when the devotees taking rest. And the karmis are just waking up, enthusiastic for nighttime sense gratification. So it's completely opposite. And that, therefore, the devotee has a different life cycle, a different whole way of organizing their life based on service to Krishna, pleasing Guru and pleasing Krishna. And the materialists have a different way of life. Materialists usually stay up late at night, sometimes 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, doing what? Doing nonsense. And watching television or doing this or doing that, whatever. So the devotees, however, early to bed, early to rise, makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. Just like this one couple I know, they don't come to this temple that much, but they are devotees, in heart. And the husband got COVID. So the wife calls me up and says, what should we do? So I told her some things to do. And they started doing that. And then every day the wife calls me up and gives me a report. What's happening? Actually, this happened with 2 families recently. So the husband started improving and getting better. And one day she calls me and I said, oh, he was very bad today. I don't understand why. So I started asking her some questions. I said, what did he eat? He said, well, I just made some soup for him and with ginger, and he was breathing in steam, and he applied some eucalyptus oil in his nostrils, all the things you told him to do. And he was, I said, what time did he go to sleep? Oh, he went to sleep late last night. I said, what time did he eat? Oh, and he was very hungry. He ate late at night. I said, well, there's the problem right there. That's why he woke up late, didn't chant his rounds properly, and he woke up not feeling good. She said, you're right. I said, you have to tell him to take rest early, like 8, 9 o'clock at night. And he can't eat late at night. So then the next day she calls up, and I said, well, how did he do today? He said, well, he's much better. He took rest early, didn't eat late at night, and he feels better. And so you see, it's all about the lifestyle adjustment. So the devotee adjusts their lifestyle in order to be able to chant their rounds properly and be able to hear or chant or read Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, to control their eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. That's the whole point, lifestyle arrangement. And if a person cannot do that, then they're always off balance. So another interesting point here is that when the sages see a person is advanced in devotional service, their pleasure knows no bounds, and they offer all blessings in their power. The devotional service to the Lord is so auspicious that all demigods and sages, up to the Lord himself, become pleased with the devotee, and therefore the devotee finds everything auspicious. Isn't that the way we want to live? Everything auspicious? All inauspicious matters are removed from the path of a progressive devotee. Meeting all the great sages at the time of death was certainly auspicious for Maharaj Parikshit, and thus he was blessed by the so-called curse of a Brahmana's boy. So this most horrible situation is turned into the most amazing, auspicious occasion. That's Krishna's mercy. Even if a devotee makes a mistake, Krishna can transform it into a great victory, a great auspicious event. So therefore, we have every reason to want to be dear to Krishna. We want to be under Krishna's protection. Mahatmanas tumam partha daivim pakritim asritaha bhajanti ananyamana. So this is a verse, 9th chapter, 9th chapter, 9th verse, or 10th verse. Let's see which one it is. Maybe 11th verse, 12th. Yeah, 13th verse. Bhajanti ananyamanaso gyatva bhutadim avyayam. So, O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. That means under Krishna's protection. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. In this verse, the description of the Mahatma is clearly given. The first sign of the Mahatma is that he is already situated in the divine nature. He's not under the control of material nature. Why? Because he's regulated in his eating, sleeping, and mating and defending by the vows that he made at initiation. No meat eating, no gambling, no illicit activities, no intoxication, always chanting minimum 16 rounds, but no maximum, and good rounds, and associating with devotees, engaging in devotional service, eating only prasadam, and so forth. So this is the lifestyle adjustment of the devotee. He is not under the control of material nature. And how is this affected? That is explained in the 7th chapter. One who surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, at once becomes freed from the control of material nature. Daivihi esa gunamai mamamaya duratyaya mam evaye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. 7th chapter, 14th verse. Prabhupada says, this verse is the solution to all problems of life. Mam evaye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. Surrender to Krishna, everything becomes easy. Don't surrender to Krishna, everything becomes horrible and difficult, because you're no longer protected by the the Daivi Esa Gunamai. You're no longer protected by the mercy of the Lord. You're now under the control of Durga Mata. And she makes life, she tricks you by first giving you great material success and then taking it away slowly but surely until you're completely defeated and bewildered and completely frustrated. That's her job. That's what she does to everybody. So, that is explained in the 7th chapter. One who surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, at once becomes freed from the control of material nature. That is the qualification. One can become free from the control of material nature as soon as he surrenders his soul to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the preliminary formula. Being marginal potency, as soon as the living entity is freed from the control of material nature, he's put under the guidance of the spiritual nature. The guidance of the spiritual nature is called Daivi Prakriti, divine nature. So when one is promoted in that way, by surrendering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one attains to the stage of a great soul, Mahatma. The Mahatma does not divert his attention to anything outside Krishna, because he knows perfectly well that Krishna is the original Supreme Person, the cause of all causes. There is no doubt about it. Such a Mahatma or great soul develops through association with other Mahatmas, pure devotees. Pure devotees are not even attracted by Krishna's other features, such as the four-armed Mahavishnu. They are simply attracted by the two-armed form of Krishna. They are not attracted to other features of Krishna, nor are they concerned with any form of a demigod or of a human being. They meditate only upon Krishna and Krishna consciousness. They are always engaged in the unswerving service of the Lord in Krishna consciousness. Wow, there it is. 9th chapter, 13th verse. If we just understand that one verse, then we can go back to Godhead. So, on the other hand, Ate vidu swata katim hi Vishnum, durasaya ye bahir artamanina. Andayatanda upaniyamanas tepis sutantriyam uruktamni badha. Persons who are strongly entrapped by the consciousness, this is Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 5th chapter, 31st verse. Persons who are strongly entrapped by the consciousness of enjoying material life, and who have therefore accepted as their leader or guru a similar blind man attached to external sense objects, cannot understand that the goal of life is to return home, back to Godhead, and engage in the service of the Lord Vishnu. As blind men guided by another blind man miss the right path and fall into a ditch, materially attached men led by another materially attached man are bound by the ropes of fruitive labor, which are made of very strong cords, and they continue again and again in materialistic life, suffering the threefold miseries. Yes, this idea of being tethered by a rope, just like a horse is tethered or a cow is tethered by a rope, and when you want to control the movement of the animal, you pull the rope tighter, and usually put a ring in the nose of the cow, or a bit in the mouth of the horse. So when they pull the reins or the rope, it hurts them, and it's very sensitive. You know, the nose area is very sensitive for the cow, and the mouth area is very sensitive for the horse, and therefore you can control the horse or the cow just with a little ring or with a rope or a bit put in the mouth. So, therefore, persons who are strongly entrapped by the consciousness of enjoying material life, and who have therefore accepted as their leader or guru a similar blind man attached to external sense objects, they cannot understand that the goal of life is to return home. They want to stay in the material world. They want to stay in this material, rotting body. Right? They don't want to leave. It's just like taking your kid to Disneyland, and after 2 days in Disneyland, you say, well, it's time to go. And the kid says, I don't want to leave. No, we have to go now. You have to pack up. No, I don't want to leave. And you try and get them to go, and they start screaming, and, like that. And everyone's looking at your kid screaming as you're pulling the kid outside of he said, Mickey Mouse, Mickey, Donald Duck, help. You see, that's us. We're so attached to passing stool in one place, just like Prabhupada was on a morning walk, and he stopped and he was looking at this tree and looking on the ground, and devotees were wondering, what is he looking at? He said, see, even the pigeons are attached to one place. And devotees were trying to figure out, what is he talking about? He says, just see, and he showed them that all the droppings of the pigeons were in one place. And they're perched on a branch of a tree, and they were all passing stool in the same place. He said, even the pigeons are attached, right? Just like we are attached to the toilet, right? Our toilet, right? And we use the same toilet. Some people use the same toilet for 40 years or 50 years, right? They're attached. So, therefore, Prabhupada writes, since there must always be a difference of opinion between demons and devotees, Hiranyakashipu, when criticized by his son Prahlad Maharaj, should not have been surprised that Prahlad Maharaja differed from his way of life. Nonetheless, Hiranyakashipu was extremely angry and wanted to rebuke his son for deriding his teacher or spiritual master who had been born in the Brahmana family of the great Acharya Sukracharya. So you see, even the demons have gurus, and they have demoniac sampradayas of gurus. You see, there are also demoniac sampradayas. They're not actually gurus, but they use the name guru. The word sukra means semen, and acharya refers to a teacher or guru. He's a hereditary guru or spiritual master, having been accepted everywhere since hereditary gurus or spiritual masters have been accepted everywhere since time immemorial. But Prahlad Maharaj declined to accept such a seminal guru or take instruction from him. Seminal means born of semen. In other words, you're born in a particular family, and that particular family has particular types of what's he called family gurus or seminal gurus. So Sukracharya was a seminal guru, and his disciples also were seminal gurus. So Hiranyakashipu gives his son to some disciples of Sukracharya for education, and Prahlad Maharaj rejects them. And so these type of seminal gurus have been around since time immemorial, Prabhupada says. So Prahlad Maharaj declined to accept such a seminal guru or take instruction from him. An actual guru is Shrotriya, one who has heard or received perfect knowledge through parampara, the disciplic succession. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj did not recognize a seminal spiritual master. Such spiritual masters are not at all interested in Vishnu. Indeed, they are hopeful, even though they do Satyanarayana Puja, because it's very profitable to do Satyanarayana Puja. It takes 3-4 hours, and it's basically deity worship with 16 items, and it looks like they're worshiping Vishnu, but it's actually the philosophized Vishnu, not the real Vishnu. They just philosophize Vishnu. For a short period of time, you do all these things, but in the end, instead of saying, my dear Lord, I am yours, I'm satisfied simply serving you, they don't say that. They say, okay, now, Lord, I did what I was supposed to do. Now give me what I want. It's a gimme ritual. It's not take me ritual. So, generally speaking, practically everyone is unaware of the spiritual world. The word bahi means external, artha means interest, and manina means taking very seriously. Generally speaking, practically everyone is unaware of the spiritual world. The knowledge of the materialist is restricted within the 4 billion mile limit of this material world, which is in the dark portion of the creation. They do not know that beyond the material world is the spiritual world. Unless one is a devotee of the Lord, one cannot understand the existence of the spiritual world. Gurus, teachers who are simply interested in this material world are described in this verse as andha, blind. Such blind men may lead many other blind followers without true knowledge of material conditions, but they are not accepted by devotees like Prahlad Maharaj. Such blind teachers, being interested in the external material world, are always bound by the strong ropes of the material nature. So this is a great verse, 7th canto, 5th verse, 5th chapter, 31st verse. It's Prahlad Maharaj speaking. And also, there's more interesting statements by Prahlad Maharaj, but we will discuss those tomorrow. Oh, actually, no. We can discuss a little bit now. Prahlad Maharaj says, Indriyani mana prana atma dharmo driti mati hri shis teja smriti satyam yasya nasyanti janmana. 7th canto, 10th chapter, 8th verse. O my Lord, because of lusty desires from the very beginning of one's birth, the functions of one's senses, mind, life, body, religion, patience, intelligence, shyness, opulence, strength, memory, and truthfulness are vanquished, meaning destroyed or defeated. In other words, the sickness that everybody has in this world, it's not COVID, because COVID doesn't attack everyone. But there is one sickness that attacks everyone. It's called Kaman Hit Rogam. Roga means sickness, right? Kaman means lust, and Hrit means heart. So the lusty desires in the heart is the sickness that attacks everybody. It's worse than COVID, much worse than COVID. In fact, we need Dr. Fauci to find a vaccine for this Kaman Hit Rogam. Right? But of course, Dr. Fauci doesn't even know about Kaman Hit Rogam, although he is a victim of it, a big victim of it. So, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Kaman Hit Rogam. Materialistic life means that one is afflicted by a formidable disease called lusty desire. Liberation means freedom from lusty desires, because it is only due to such desires that one must accept repeated birth and death. As long as one's lusty desires are unfulfilled, one must take birth after birth to fulfill them. Because of material desires, therefore, one performs various types of activities and receives various types of bodies with which to try to fulfill desires that are never satisfied. The only remedy is to take the devotional service, which begins when one is free from all material desires. Anya bilasita sunyam gyanakarmadyanavritam anukuyena krishna sindalam bhaktiruttamam. Well, this is serious information. And this is what is affecting everybody. Men, women, children, older people. Everybody's affected by this Kaman Hrit Rogam. And the only solution is engaging in pure devotional service. But to do that, you have to become free from the modes of material nature. Therefore, there's a need, absolute need, for sadhana bhakti, an association of devotees, and regular, everyday hearing. This knowledge given by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita and his devotees in Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Devotion. So, are we going to do this? Or do we want to remain sick with this terrible disease called Kaman Hrit Rogam, lusty desires in the heart? So, usually we say in the mind, but when we say the heart, that's even worse, because that means it's right there in our soul now. The soul is so contaminated that it also has these lusty desires and is not willing to give them up. Just like when some hunters, they're very clever. They study the psychology of a monkey or a bird or a chicken or a rat to understand what their habits are. Like, for example, I did that when we had this little house here. Every morning I would see that squirrels would come exactly 7:30 in the morning, jumping down from one tree to another, walking across the roof of this broken house, coming down, and then going out into the yard. Every day. So I was thinking, and then they would cause havoc. Sometimes they would get into our storage room and eat things. And not only were the squirrels, there were also weasels. Weasels are meat eaters. Squirrels are mostly vegetarian. So, but the weasels would also try and find something to eat. They were looking for rats and mice, and the squirrels were looking for grains and things like that. And so I noticed their habits. So I set up a box on a wooden plank, and I got a stick, and I got a rope, and I balanced the tip of the box on the stick, which was standing vertically, and the rope was tied to the stick, and I hid in the house about 40 feet away. And I would watch the squirrel come down the trees. I knew they were coming down the trees, but they would walk across our roof and go down on the ground, and then they go out looking for food. And then I'd put a trail of nuts going right into the box. So the squirrels were very, very suspicious of the box. So it took about a week for them to actually venture into the box. And why did they venture in the box? Because kaman, hrid, rogam. They wanted the sense gratification of peanuts. So peanut for them is like, ecstasy. So, and then the first day they went into the box, I didn't do anything. I wanted them to feel confident that they could go into the box and nothing would happen. So the second or third day, they were going in very easily now into the box. I just pulled the rope, I caught them. Right? And I would catch not only one, but day after, week after week, I would catch others until there were no more squirrels. Now, what do I do with them? You need that wooden plank on the bottom, so that way you put your hand on top and put your hand on the bottom. You take it and turn it vertical, and then open it, and the squirrel falls into a garbage can, and put the lid on the garbage can. And now I'd put in my car, and I'd go to Marymore Park, not Marymore, Lake Sammamish Park, and I would just open the garbage can, and whoosh, the squirrel would jump out as fast as they could and run away. And so I could catch anything like that. If I didn't want to catch birds. There was no need to. So, you see, so a hunter who wanted to catch a monkey, he got a wine bottle and put a cherry in it. And it was like a transparent wine bottle, and left it in the jungle and watched. And monkeys do nonsense all day long, and they like to eat fruits. So he was watching it one day, 2 days. Third day, the monkeys noticed the cherry in the wine bottle. So one of them kept trying to get their hand in, and they finally stuck their hand in and grabbed the cherry. As soon as the monkey did that, the man ran after the monkey. Now, the monkey refused to let go of the cherry. Therefore, he was running away with 2 legs and 1 arm, and the hunter was able to catch the monkey easily. You see. Now, why doesn't the monkey let go of the cherry? Kaman, rig, rogam. It had lusty desire for the cherry. Therefore, he refused to let go of it, even if it meant that he was going to get caught. So you see, this is what people do. Like, for example, they say, oh, Y2K, everything's going to be destroyed. But we have good news for you. You can buy 3 weeks of dry food and protect your family in such an emergency. All of a sudden, somebody becomes rich selling dry canned food for an emergency, right? And all that based on a hoax of Y2K, that the whole world's coming to an end. Or, the world's coming to an end on the 1912, according to the Mayan calendar. So everyone's freaked out, the world's coming to an end. And then people sell them some products to protect themselves for the end of the world, you see. So you'll see there's always one crisis after another coming up. And each time there's a crisis that's artificially manufactured by these smart demons, people have to buy something to protect themselves, right? And that's the way life is. It goes from one crisis to another and one exploitation to another. So the solution to all this is to get out of the entanglement of duality. And the only way to do that is become convinced that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's the source of everything. And develop an intimate, affectionate relationship with Krishna through devotional service. Then you're not, let's say, scared easily anymore. You're not scared at all because I'm not this body. Okay, so I'm going to die. So far, my soul is not going to die. It's just the body that's going to die. Of course, I should take care of the body so I can do as much service as possible in this life. But if my time comes up, I'm not going to be disturbed by it at all. I'm going to do exactly like Maharaj Parikshit, prepare myself and cut off all material attachments and simply meditate on the Lord. So hearing all this knowledge every day is very important if we want to have peaceful, happy life, full of devotional service, full of love, full of happiness and peace. Or if we want to be like the karmis, always have lusty desires, always getting into trouble, and always failing in our relationships and failing in every way as a human being. Hare Krishna, glory to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna.